Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising you with new topics every single weekend, jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 99. Is crazy. It is crazy. We're almost at episode 100. That will be dropping next week in honor of UFC 303, which was supposed to be Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, but now it's Jiri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira. I mean, I am kind of bummed Conor McGregor isn't fighting, but nonetheless, I am still happy to get a good main event and get a little UFC event as well. Next Monday, actually 2 Mondays from now, July 1st, will be the 1-year anniversary of the Surprise Jab podcast. So I might record an episode on that day or drop an episode exactly on that day. So we'll have to see. But as for today's episode, episode 99, we're jam-packed. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Of course, recapping UFC Vegas 93, recapping Clash of the Castle, dropping our UFC Saudi Arabian picks. No discussing film talk today, as I have seen so many movies over the last week that I have to just talk about them. Going to be talking about some updates in my personal life as well, checking in with the NBA and NHL playoffs as we actually have a champion as of right now, and of course, some new UFC fights, as always. I mean, there's always so much to talk about here on the Surprise Jab Podcast. So let's not waste any time. We got fun stuff to go about. Let's get right on into it. And, of course, what else would we start out with then? Not some new UFC fights. That's usually how we start out. But I just kind of want to give some life updates because I've been on a bit of a fun time ever since I got back from Chicago from seeing my buddy Jaden. Amazing trip, as we mentioned on the last episode. Over the past week, it's been very interesting. For starters, I went to my first ever comedy show, live comedy show at Acme Comedy Club in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was amazing. It was so funny. And I don't even really remember the guys. I think Tom Rhodes was the headliner. I hadn't heard about him until then. I did see Adam Ray is coming in September there, though, which I do like Adam Ray, so I may have to check him out there in September. But it was just so contagious. It was so contagious. Just whenever like someone told a joke and someone else laughed in the crowd, you couldn't help but laugh. I couldn't even tell if some of the jokes were bad if I was just laughing to laugh. There weren't really many bombs. I'll say that was pretty rare. If anything, there was just moments where, like, you didn't know if the person saying a joke was, like, trying to hit a punchline or something, but it happens. We kind of arrived a bit late due to parking, but me and my 3 buddies, we came in, and I didn't really understand the layout. It's not the biggest place. It's decently sized, but not the biggest. And there's kind of just like a smaller stage, and there was like the host was some girl or someone, and she was kind of doing some comedy. It was okay. And then they brought out four random comedians of like some competition they've been doing of like who will advance to the finals. And there's this one guy. He was super funny. I cannot remember his name for the life of me. He's I think he was bald, had a hat on, glasses, plaid shirt, looked like he came straight out of a 2000s rock band or something. He was like the lead singer. I think he was like the lead singer of like not a Nirvana. What am I trying to think of? I'm trying to think of one band. But Linkin Park. That's what I was. Look at that. He'd be on one of the cover arts for them. And he was pretty funny. There was also this guy named Zach. He was pretty comical on it, but I think they gave the nomination to someone else. Can't even remember. But after that, they then had I believe it's called the feature before the headliner, and it was some guy. He was somewhat kind of funny. He kept making Asian jokes. He was like saying like he doesn't hate Asians. They'd say like somebody hates about Asians, and there was like multiple Asian people sitting in the front row, and I think they were laughing. It was kind of awkward. Like I had never really seen comedy like that live in the flesh, and it was pretty funny. Everyone was a good sport. The one downside was there was a drink menu in front of me, and you're not supposed to talk. You're not supposed to make any noise, and it was like it had like the what is it called, laminated. It was laminated, so it kind of stuck to the table a bit, and the table was kind of like wooden, so it was kind of like, you know, it was keeping a hold of that. And the woman sitting in front of me on her like elbow kept resting on the table, so I couldn't pull it out from under her. So like I didn't know what to order because I want a drink. I'm like, come on, I want a drink while I'm watching some comedy. And I look around and all I see is some chick drinking a high noon. So I tell the waiter who's walking around like really quietly, I'm like, hey, I'll have a high noon. And he comes, he brings it. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. You know, like probably like 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I'll have another one. And yeah, the bill comes and it was $20 freaking $10 for one high noon. Are you kidding me? Ran up $20 on high noons. Terrible. But Tom Rhodes, he was the headliner. He was a pretty funny guy. I will say this was like his final show of like 8 shows he'd performed in the last 4 days or 3 days. So I don't blame him if he was a bit worn out. But, he brought the energy, he brought the fun. And I could tell his set was going on for a while. It was going on for a while. But, hey, I was laughing at some of it. And it was a pretty good time. But, after that, Father's Day, good times on Father's Day. Just went out for lunch. Did not win any bingo. They had Father's Day bingo. Didn't win anything. That was a dampener. I did have 6 or 7 Grain Belt Blues though. I was putting those suckers down. And then this week, I unfortunately learned that my beautiful 2013 Chevy Equinox will no longer be with us, as it is apparently the engine shot. We're not going to pay $4,500 to repair an engine for a car that'll probably last the minimum 1 more year. And there's not really the best market out there for a new car. A used car might be in the cards, but as of right now, I do not have a car. Ladies and gentlemen. Rest in peace to 2013 Chevy Equinox. Served me well 4 years. But I drove that sucker in the ground, man. I do not regret a single thing I did in that car. Made so many memories in that car. And it'll live in infamy. But that was some really sad news. I just wanted to inform you all with that today. But we won't dwell too much on the sadness for today's episode, because cars come and go, but the podcast is forever. I don't really know if that's a saying. I don't really think I'm gonna make that a saying, but it is what it is. I'll tell you what is going to live forever, and that is what's going down at UFC 305 in Perth, Australia. In the main event, Dricus du Plessis, your middleweight champion, takes on the former middleweight champion, Israel Adesanya. That's right, it's actually happening. Dana White announced it. I'm here for it. The grudge match between these two. And if you'd have told me Israel Adesanya, who lost all 5 rounds to Sean Strickland, will be back in less than a year fighting for the championship again, I'd have told you you're crazy. But Nonetheless, the champion takes on the number 2 contender, Israel Adesanya. And Dricus on the run of a lifetime right now. Beats Sean Strickland in January. He beat Robert Whittaker last year. He beat Darren Till before that, Derek Brunson. He's been on an incredible run. And people kind of forget how good Dricus du Plessis is. 21-2, 7-0 in the UFC. Of those 7 wins, 3 performance of the nights, 2 fight of the nights. He's won the middleweight championship in the KSW League, the EFC WWE League, the EFC MF League. In so many foreign leagues, he's won championships, which is incredible. And of course, Israel Adesanya, we know how good he is, the former UFC middleweight champion. So many title defenses, 13-3 in the UFC. I want to point out, of those 3 losses, one was up in weight against Jan Blachowicz, trying to become a double champ. The other was against his arch rival, Alex Pereira, who he actually beat in the rematch. And the other one was Sean Strickland, who just had it that night. Sean Strickland had it that night. Some fighters just have it. He had it that night. But I'm happy to see Adesanya's back. I'm hoping that we get a banger of a fight, not some stalemate, which I don't doubt we will, because Dricus du Plessis always seems to bring it when he's in the octagon. But that's probably been the biggest fight that's been announced over the last few days, besides all the UFC 303 fights. But this one very excited for. Also going down, UFC Denver. In July 13th, Marquel Medeiros will take on Nazim Sadikov in the lightweight division. Marquel Medeiros 1-0 in the UFC, 9-1 professionally. I believe he submitted Landon Quinones in his debut. His opponent, Nazim Black Wolf Sadikov, 2-0 in the UFC, wins over Terrence McKinney and Evan Elder. His win over Terrence McKinney, great comeback. So far as for Nazim, 2 wins, 2 fight of the nights. Very good stuff as Nazim Sadikov. And Medeiros is actually replacing Chris Duncan in this matchup. That's a fun fact for you. Should be a good battle. Should be interesting. I probably favor Nazim. I probably favored Nazim in that one, if I'm being honest. Another matchup announced, going down on an no real spot yet for this card on August 24th in the middleweight division. Jose Medina will make his UFC debut against Zachary Savage Reese, coming off of his 22nd knockout of Julian Marquez. He takes on Jose Medina, 11-3. He's won a title in AFC and Samurai Fight House, so looks pretty interesting, but should just be a pick-me-up win for Zach Reese. Also announced for UFC Abu Dhabi August 3rd, and of course, Abu Dhabi, the United Emirates, a lightweight fight between Jai Herbert and Rolando Bedoya. Jai Herbert is 2-4 in the UFC, kind of not on the best run. I think he's on a little losing streak. And his opponent, Rolando Bedoya, 0-2 in the UFC. So this is a loser goes home, winner stays type of fight right here. I definitely favor Jai Herbert. Rolando Bedoya is rocking a Justin Bieber haircut with a sloth from Goonies face. It is just not working for me, if I'm being honest. And I hate to be mean, but I just call it how it is. And the last fight that was recently announced in the men's bantamweight division going down at UFC saw Abu Dhabi. I get Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi confused a bit. Javid Basharat, 14-1, 3-1 in the UFC, takes on the 26-2, 7-3-1 in the UFC, Chris El Guapo Gutierrez. Chris Gutierrez, crazy knockout of Frankie Edgar is probably what he's most notable for. He's beaten Batar Galdane, Timur Valev. I mean, this guy's talented. This guy's super talented. And as for Javid Basharat, he just lost his first professional bout last time out, but guess what? He's back. He's hungry. And as for Chris Gutierrez, this is a guy who's floated in and out of the rankings. He's had main event opportunities before. I'm excited to see what goes down between these two, but I'm probably gonna ride with Chris Gutierrez. If I can give my opinion, I'm probably gonna ride with Chris Gutierrez. No other real announcements for where fights are taking places or pay-per-view main events. I think Israel Adesanya Dricus du Plessis has been the biggest announcement so far, but actually what dropped an hour ago. So I'm recording this at 7 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday, June 19th, and an hour ago, Shara Magomedov just had his opponent changed for the third time, as he'll now be taking on Antonio Tricoli. So we're going to have to adjust for that when we drop our Saudi Arabia picks later on the episode. So we'll be coming back to that fight, but I just want you to know that when I mention that this fight is happening on short notice, I'm talking the fight takes place on Saturday at about probably I'd say 2 o'clock, and it's about 7 o'clock on Wednesday, and the fight was just announced. So that's just the name of the game in the fight world, but we're here for it. We're here for it. We love it. We love it when things are always switching up and you have to adjust on the fly. It brings excitement. And I mean, hey, Alex Pereira, Jiri Prochazka, last time they fought was actually on short notice, and they'll main event their second card in, 8 months as on short notice? Incredible. I'll tell you what else is incredible, and that is the fact that the Boston Celtics won the NBA Championship, and it did not really feel like the NBA Finals, if I'm being honest. It felt like a normal series, normal game, nothing special. When we last spoke, they were up 3-0, but in typical, hey, why should we lose? Why should we win the championship on the road when we can win it at home? They get blown out by, I think it was 38 to the Mavericks in game number 4. I mean, it was utterly insane. The highest scorer was Jason Tatum with 15 points. I mean, next highest scorer was Sam Hauser off the bench with 14. It was abysmal. Mavericks showed out. Luka had 29 points. Kyrie Irving, 21. Derek Lively, 11. Dante Exum and Tim Hardaway both off the bench getting double-digit points. Tim Hardaway, 15 points. He was having a game. Other starters, Daniel Gafford, 7 points. PJ Washington, 6. Derek Jones Jr., 5. Good stuff there, but none of it mattered. None of it mattered because Monday, June 17th, Celtics closed them out 106-88. I mean, they were up 10 after the first quarter. They were up 21 at halftime. They were up 19 heading into the fourth, and they end up winning by 18. Just we're better. We're better all around, and congratulations to the Celtics. I'll give you your props. Jason Tatum drops 31 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds in the final game. Jaylen Brown, 21 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds. He was actually your finals MVP. I know Tatum was absolutely shocked he did not win finals MVP, but it made it so much better because Jason Tatum was trying to recreate iconic moments. He was trying to recreate Kevin Garnett's classic moment of him going, like, screaming to the air, like, anything's possible, except Jason Tatum said, like, we did it. And then he was on stage holding the trophy to a crowd, and he tried to do the Kanye West, I don't know what we would do. What would they say if we didn't win? He's like, I guess we'll never know. Like, that thing he did. And it sounded so cringy. He was trying to pose like Kobe in the locker room. He was trying to throw the ball in the air like Curry. It was kind of getting funny. I've been seeing everyone hating on him. I'm kind of just like Jason Tatum getting all the views. But hey, he's finally an NBA champion. He's an NBA champion for Luka Doncic. Remember that. But just an incredible performance. Drew Holiday, the starting point guard, 11 rebounds. Plus 15 points. I mean, dude is an excellent role player. He gets a ring. Everyone gets a ring. I was absolutely happy for this team. As for the Mavericks, felt little sympathy for him. Luka gets 28 points, 12 rebounds. Of course, he carried the team. Kyrie had 15, Josh Green 14. It was a one-man show. As much as you hate Luka Doncic, I think you kind of have to acknowledge the fact that it is a 5v1 usually when he's out there on the court. All the respect in the world to all the Celtics players. I'm happy for it. I don't think they're going to repeat. Let me tell you, I don't think you're going to repeat. But Mavericks got to make some offseason changes, just like the Timberwolves do, and I think they could easily make it back to get the victory. After that, there's not much to say about the NBA, and we won't even. We'll keep the time mark at the bottom of your screen. We'll say NBA+NHL, just because I want to briefly touch on the fact that the Oilers not only avoided being swept, but they managed to win game number 5. The series is now 3-2, and in utterly insane fashion, the Oilers put up 8 goals in an elimination game. All right, shout out to Darnell Nurse on 6 shots. He was able to get 1. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on 4 shots. He got 1. Ryan McLeod, 1 shot, 1 goal. Adam Henrik, 1 shot, 1 goal. How about Matthias Janmark? 1 shot, 1 goal. Dylan Holloway, 2 shots, 2 goals. And Connor McDavid on 2 of his shots had 1 goal. 4 points, too. He had 3 assists. Oilers said not today, avoiding the sweep. We then go back to Florida. By the way, Kamaru Usman was actually in attendance with Mark Ingram, of all people. Why was Kamaru Usman singing with Mark Ingram? Love both those guys. Super random. Oilers in Florida. All right. How about a 5-3 victory to push it to a Game 6? Oilers in these playoffs are yet to lose in any form of game where they could get eliminated. Okay, I believe they're 5-0 or like 6-0 now. I mean, absolutely incredible. Connor McDavid putting the team on his back. Of the 5 goals, 2 from him. He also had 2 assists to get 4 points total. Absolutely amazing. Connor Brown punching one in as well. Zach Hyman on 3 shots. He netted 1. Corey Perry on 2. He was able to get a goal. I loved it. Stuart Skinner still did give up 3, but with 32 saves, .906 save percentage. Very nice. Evan Heinrichs, Matthew Tkachuk, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson were the ones that scored the goals for the Florida Panthers. So yeah, this Friday, I believe, will be game number 6, and game 7 would be on a Monday, June 24th. How unfortunate is that? I mean, I get Sundays bad, but a Monday night? Actually, Monday night might be better than Sunday night. I don't know. It's all about how you view it, but I really hope the Oilers push it, because if they win game 6, coming back from 3-0, incredible. And I personally was rooting for the Oilers in this series. I don't have a personal vendetta against Florida, but there's just something about this Oilers team that gets me kind of fired up. So best of luck to the Edmonton Oilers. I really pray you can clutch out a victory in game number 6. We'll see this Friday. By the time you listen to this episode, you will probably know who won and who lost. So best of luck to both of those teams. Speaking of knowing the results of winning or losing, gosh, I love my little segues. WWE Clash at the Castle Scotland went down this past Saturday. I was able to catch the main event, caught some of the results, and I figured I'd touch on it briefly because the crowd was absolutely electric. These foreign crowds in the WWE. I love it. It's like watching a live action movie or something. But we kicked it off. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles was the first fight of the night in an I Quit match for the undisputed WWE Championship. And what do you know? Cody Rhodes won. A banger match, probably like a 4.5 star match. What would you expect? What more could you expect out of these two? Amazing performers. Went 27 minutes and 45 seconds. It was incredible. Incredible. That's all I have to say. It was the first match of the night and eventually ended when Cody Rhodes was able to, I believe he handcuffed AJ Styles to the turnbuckle ropes and threatened to pick up the steel steps, and he went to hit him, and AJ Styles said, "I quit." But afterwards, this is where it gets interesting. And also, I think AJ Styles is fighting in New Japan or something now. I don't really know what's going on there. But afterwards, Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline came out to attack Cody Rhodes. And then Randy Orton and Kevin Owens stormed in. So now you're kind of setting up these angles where Randy Orton wants the belt, Solo Sikoa wants the belt. I'm here for it. I really feel like Solo Sikoa versus Cody at Money in the Bank would be a great matchup. Or you could just have Cody not fight at Money in the Bank. Or at SummerSlam, you do Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, because that is main event material, and the history is there. I'm happy to see whatever Triple H cooks up. Second fight of the evening, a triple threat match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. And I really thought that Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair were never going to drop these belts. And I was completely wrong, as what I later learned, in my predictions, I definitely would have picked them had I known. The Scotland's-owned Unholy Union of Alba Fire and Isla never heard of them, won the belts. 12 minutes, 10 seconds. Funny moment where Jade Cargill actually messed up on the ropes, but hey, what do you know? Isla pinned Shayna Baszler, so I guess Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill don't actually get pinned to lose their titles. But I think they're going to go their separate ways, go on a little single run, respectively. But good job to the women's tag team champions now. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Those belts are going to become so irrelevant now, it's not even funny. It's not even funny. After that, we got to what I think is the third best match of the evening, as Sami Zayn defeated Chad Gable to retain the WWE Intercontinental Championship. 22 minutes, 15 seconds was the match time. And I just gotta say, this is the wrong result. This is the wrong result. I never really like to doubt WWE's booking decisions. They always make good storylines. But I really felt like Chad Gable should have won here. And I mean, Chad Gable, he had an ankle lock on Sami Zayn, and then Gable inadvertently chop blocks one of the members of his team, Maxine Dupree, on her injured leg. Otis, picks up Maxine and walks away, refusing to help Chad Gable win. Zayn then hits a haluva kick and picks up the pin to retain. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. But Chad Gable, he's so good as a heel. He works with the belt, and now they're already burying him on Monday Night Raw, which is just ridiculous. So Sami Zayn keeping the belt, but they are teasing now a little feud between him and Braun Breaker, who is like the second coming of the next top guy. And I really hope he drops that belt to Braun Breaker. Just my opinion. But as for that match, Sami Zayn and Chad Gable, they got great chemistry, but this feud, I believe, has finally came to an end. I think we're building up Otis versus Chad Gable, which would be a great match to have on Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. Good stuff there. Co-main event, if you will, of the evening, second last match of the night, as Bayley defeated Scotland's own Piper Niven in a 13-minute, 30-second singles match for the WWE Women's Championship. I mean, Chelsea Green, who was essentially like the crony of Piper Niven, trips Bayley on the outside as Bayley steps on her fingers. Green starts yelling at the ref. The ref then ejects Green from ringside. Green then returns wearing a luchador mask like she was Rey Mysterio to distract the ref. Niven would headbutt Bayley, who then plants Niven with the crucifix driver to pick up the victory and retain the WWE Women's Championship. And as well, she earned the right to become Queen of the Rings, Nia Jax's challenger for the title match at SummerSlam. So essentially, just got it done. It was from what I heard, it was a 2-star match. Nothing exciting happened. It was pretty obvious what the result was going to be. And might I just say that this was only the best pick-me-up match before the co-main event, and I like Bayley, but no one thought Piper Niven was going to win. That's just my humble opinion. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we got to our main event. We got to the main event as Scotland's own Drew McIntyre took on Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. And son of a gun, I can't believe it actually happened. CM Punk actually screwed over Drew McIntyre in Scotland. We theorized it. We said there's just no way. But somehow CM Punk did and still managed to look like the face somehow. And the storyline, it's starting to look like Punk might work better as a heel, but it's kind of weird. Punk's over with the audience, like they aren't going to boo him. So I think the WWE kind of has to work around that, but man, Drew McIntyre had it. The crowd was going crazy. CM Punk interferes as like a fake ref, costs him it, and Damian Priest retains. Without the Judgment Day's help, but CM Punk still helped. 20-minute, 20-second match. And the crowd was, CM Punk celebrated with the crowd, but the crowd was booing the results so loudly. You could just feel it. The arena was shaking. My screen was shaking. And nonetheless, just a loss, which is so unfortunate. So unfortunate for Drew McIntyre. He kind of quit on Monday Night Raw the next night. He quit Raw, which was funny. But, I mean, dang, they've just been screwing over Drew McIntyre, and I just don't know what angle they're going to go with Damian Priest now, man. You got him versus Gunther, him versus Seth Rollins. You do Drew McIntyre, CM Punk at SummerSlam. Like, there's so many options about what to be done. I'm curious to see what WWE works with. But Clash at the Castle, it was good. It was okay. We look ahead to Money in the Bank for the next big WWE PLE. Speaking of PLEs, performance live events, the UFC put on another live event, if you will, in front of a little crowd at UFC Vegas 93. And if you were hearing my tone of voice, it's because we did not do good on picks, guys. We went 5-6 5-6. Of course, there were supposed to be 13 fights. Ikram Alkaserov, Antonio Tricoli was canceled. It's ironic how they'll both be fighting on the card we're going to mention later. We'll talk about that in a second. But also, the second most interesting fight on the card, Tagir Lembekov versus frickin' Joshua Van, was canceled because Tagir Lembekov missed weight by 5 pounds and they just deemed him unfit to compete. And we no longer get Tagir Lembekov versus Joshua Van. So pissed off by that. I really wanted to see Joshua Van fight. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So we'll review some of the fights. We'll review the results. But I'm 5-6 on the evening. Not the hottest. Not the hottest. Let me tell you that. Not good. Not good at all. Oh my gosh. 4-6. Actually, we went 5-6. So I should be... I was just making sure. I'm 148-97 now. I was making sure my results were added up correctly. But yeah, gosh, just dang it. We're still plus 53 units. That's still good, but I would like to be much better, if I'm being honest. Okay, that's not what I say time. Let's get right on into it. First fight of the evening, Josephine Knutson. We had this one. Little decision win for her over Julia Polastri. Good win for Josephine Knutson. Josephine Thunder Knutson improves to 8-0. She's now 2-0 in the UFC. And in this one, it really came down to her striking. Julia Polastri goes 3 of 3 on her takedowns, getting 4.5 minutes of control time. But significant strike-wise, 124 for Josephine Knutson, 64 for Julia Polastri. That'll get it done. Let me tell you that. And kind of got better throughout the fight. I mean, 61 significant strikes in round 1. Only gave up 5 to Julia in round 2. Round 3, still managed to get 15 more. I mean, impressive stuff. That's all you gotta say. Julia Polastri is now 12-4. She does lose her UFC debut, but I don't think that should hurt her too much. But Josephine, my goodness, women's strawweight division. Look out, Julia Polastri. Not Julia Polastri. Josephine Knutson is on the come up. I'd actually love to see her versus like Luiana Pinheiro. I'd actually love to break her into the rankings. I think she's got it. She's undefeated. She's getting it done, and she's doing it in dominant fashion. Good job to the Swedish woman, Josephine Knutson. After that, it went downhill immediately. Right away, it went downhill as we predicted this fight incorrectly. Melquiz Acosta submits Shailene Nerdembeek in round number 3 with a rear naked choke. So sad. That's all I have to say. So sad for Shailene Nerdembeek. He loses his 12th career bout, which was actually his 51st career bout. He's now on a 2-fight losing streak, and he's been finished in both of those fights. But as for Melquiz Acosta, he's got win-loss since debuting last January. And as for him now, he picks up his 7th career submission, 14 career finish. Good job to Melquiz Acosta for this win. This was a grapple fest from the get-go. Shailene Nerdembeek goes 3 of 4 on takedowns in round 1 to get 4 minutes of control time. Melquiz threw 4 significant strikes. Shailene threw 1. Round 2, same stuff. Shailene goes 1 of 4 on takedowns for 2.5 minutes control time. But Melquiz Acosta lands 2 of his own on 2 attempts to get 1 minute and 41 seconds control time. He also had more total strikes. And then round 3, Shailene failed twice to get takedowns. Melquiz wound up on his back, and he put him out to sleep. Now he tapped. But still, Melquiz Acosta getting it done. The boy with alopecia getting the victory. I'm happy for him. Melquiz. It's on these little impy-gimpy Apex cards where you really see guys are kind of like, okay, I'm happy for you, Melquiz. Plus, finishes come few and far on cards like these, so you're always happy to see a fight end early. After this fight, we had a featherweight bout again, this time between Weston Wilson and Jekka Saragai. And I don't know how the F he did it, but Weston Wilson somehow won this fight. I'm still in shock. Weston Wilson, all right, incredible win by the guy. He is now 17-9. All 17 of those wins have come by finish, and he just got his 12th career submission. Utterly insane. A lot of those are in round 1, including this fight right here, ending in round 1. And he has no striking. It's clear he has no striking. Jekka Saragai landed a total of 4 significant strikes in the minute and 49 seconds this lasted. Almost took Weston Wilson's head off. He was swinging for the fences. Weston manages to get a takedown, takes him down, gets him in a triangle armbar, and Jekka had to tap. Jekka Sergei had to tap. And I can't believe Weston Wilson won this. He'd been knocked out in his last 2 fights, knocked out cold, for goodness sakes, back in January. And what do you know, less than 6 months later, he's picking up a win. So good job to Weston Wilson. They did not reward him. They did not reward him with a performance bonus, but hey, good win for him. As for Jekka Sergei, 14-4 now. He's now sitting at 1-2 in the UFC, which is very unfortunate. And this is the first time I think he's ever been. It's the second time he's been finished in his career. So that's sucky, Jekka. I do feel bad for you, my Indonesian prince. But Weston Wilson, I guess, repping the white boys, getting it done. Good job to him. We'll move on because Weston Wilson does not have the build of a guy who should be winning UFC fights. After that, we got probably the best women's fight we've had of the year so far, out of nowhere, as Gabriela Fernandez beats Carly Judice in a fight of the night. Incredible. And what makes it even better is we predicted Gabriela Fernandez to win by decision. That made me very happy. Gabriela Fernandez improves to 9-3. Carly Judice moves to 3-2. But you got $50K, so you got paid. I mean, this one, absolutely crazy. Carly Judice outstrikes her 169-119 significantly. Total, 186-126. Gabriela goes 2 of 8 on takedowns for close to 3 minutes control time. Carly Judice goes 2 of 4 for close to a minute of control time. Round 1, Carly Judice letting it go. 63 significant strikes to 43. Round 2, Gabriela Fernandez, 41 significant strikes to 27. Now, I don't necessarily know how Carly Judice won this, if I'm being honest. 79 significant strikes to 35. I thought Carly Judice would have won this. I wasn't able to catch it. I was busy out with my mates, so I don't exactly know how this fight went, but from everything I heard, it was a banger. Gabriela Fernandez, Women's Fight of the Year, even though she got outstruck by 50 significant strikes, was still able to get done. But with these judges, you never know. You never know with these judges, guys. Let me tell you that. Let me just tell you that. So, good win for both of these women in the women's flyweight division. Gabriela Fernandez, you will move on in the UFC. How about that? 0-2 in her first 2 fights. Her third fight to stay in the UFC. Fight of the night. I love it. I'll tell you what I don't love. Is when I accidentally pick someone on a paper and I decide not to change it, thinking, maybe it was fate that I was supposed to pick them. That wasn't the case. Flyweight bout, Nate Maness, Jimmy Flick. We were going to pick Nate Maness, and when I went to highlight his name, I accidentally highlighted Jimmy Flick's, and we thought back to last week when I accidentally highlighted Islam Makhachev's, and we ended up picking Dustin Poirier. Nonetheless, we rode with Jimmy Flick, and it did not work out. Abysmal. Jimmy Flick probably is not UFC level quality, if I'm being honest. Totals from the fight, Nate Maness, 89 significant strikes to 37, 139 total strikes to 41. Jimmy Flick goes 1 of 8 on takedowns and had half the control time. Nate Maness had 2 minutes to 4 minutes for Nate Maness. And like I said, Nate Maness just had his number this whole fight. Didn't do anything spectacular. Did enough to win. Improves to 2-0. Good stuff. Good stuff for Nate Maness. Jimmy Flick is now 1-3 in his last 4, 2-3 in the UFC. I don't see Jimmy Flick hanging around here too much longer. But Nate Maness 16-3 now. Very nice. Moves along in the men's flyweight division. I think his opponent might have been on this card. It might actually be the man we're going to mention in 2 fights. We'll have to wait a second for that, but just hold on a second. Good win for Nate Maness. Striking was on point. Was able to use the anti-grappling. And it's a shame because I was going to predict you to win, and I accidentally highlighted the wrong guy. So that just makes me feel great about myself. You can hear the sadness in my voice. So sad. After that, we head to the men's welterweight division as Adam Fugit took on Josh Quinlan, and I can't believe Josh Quinlan sucks. I'm sorry, Josh, if you're listening to this, but Josh Quinlan, you're just not that good. I can't believe Adam Fugit beat him. Outstrikes him 80-53, same for significant total. Went 0 of 2 on takedowns. I mean, Josh Quinlan had 1 more significant strike in round 1. Adam had 11 more in round 2. Adam had 17 more in round 3, and that's all it took. That's all it took for Adam Fugit to go 1-1-1 now in the UFC. 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win, 1 loss. And he's on a win streak now. He's not actually on a streak. He's coming off a win, I should better say. He's now 10-4. But Josh Quinlan, who was 6-0, undefeated, all with finishes, has now lost 3 straight. 3 straight fights, hasn't won since August of 2022. This one's going to sting, as just nothing impressive happened. Nothing impressive happened. No fight of the nights, no performances. Just shame. Just shame is all I have to say about this one. After that, we got into a matchup where this guy could either fight Nate Manis, he could fight a top 15 guy. I don't know what to do with him, but Asu Almabayev extends his win streak to 16 straight fights as he grapples Jose Johnson to death, which I felt was pretty obvious going in. He was going to do this, but still, watch him execute. 20 significant strikes to 5 for Asu Almabayev, 77 total strikes to 58 for Asu Almabayev, 6 of 11 on takedowns. Jose Johnson went 1 of 1. 11 minutes, 24 seconds for Asu Almabayev, 1 minute, 3 seconds for Jose Johnson. Asu Almabayev controlled over 2 rounds of this fight, just on the mat. I mean, round 1, 5 of 7 on takedowns, 3 minutes, 24 seconds. He had his number. Round 2, Jose landed a takedown, okay, and then got reversed, and Asu controlled him the rest of the round. Now, Asu threw up 4 submission attempts, so he was trying to get the finish. Round 3 was the worst round. Jose Almabayev didn't land a single significant strike, just got taken down once, and it was held there for essentially the whole round, which was pretty comical. And actually, Jose almost got back on top, but then Asu reversed it in very cool fashion. But man, excellent stuff. Excellent stuff for Asu Almabayev from Kazakhstan. He's now 3-0 in the UFC. Like I said, the 16-fight win streak is insane. He's 22 professionally. I like him, guys. I kind of want to throw him at the rankings, and as I peek the rankings, we'll mention them in a bit. But number 14th ranked David Dork, number 12 ranked Matt Schnell. I really like that Matt Schnell fight, or even number 11 ranked Tim Elliott. Heck, I like him. Matthias Nakalu at 10. I like a lot of guys for Asu Almabayev. He's 30 years old. I say we give him a shot. Why not? Jose Johnson, he's gone 1-2 now in the UFC. And clearly grappling is his weakness. Sometimes it's his strength, sometimes it's his weakness. Tonight it was a big weakness. Taken down 6 times, almost submitted. Pretty embarrassing. We then got into the main card, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, Asu Almabayev might have been on the main card. I can't even remember. But we kicked it off, and I can't believe he did it. Brady Heisted submits Garrett Armfield in round number 3. Impressive stuff. Brady Heisted getting his 3rd career submission, 6th career finish, and the former Ultimate Fighter competitor lives on. This was a comeback fight. Round 1, Brady, 3 of 7 on takedowns, 2 minutes, 47 seconds control time, takes round 1. Round 2, Garrett Armfield drops Brady Heisted, outstrikes him significantly, 41-10, okay, dominates him. We go to round 3, it's back and forth. Brady's able to land 2 of his 3 takedown attempts, takes Garrett Armfield's back, submits him. Crazy impressive stuff. They then showed the DMs, and these two were all buddy-buddy, like, hey, good job for submitting me. He's like, thanks, man, you're a tough competitor. I was like, what the heck? I don't want to see that. I want to see blood. I want to see war. But good job to Brady Heisted. Good job to him. I mean, the kid, how old is he? He's only 25. Getting it done. He's on a little 3-fight win streak now. Okay, his only loss is to Ricky Tercios, which is not aged well. But hey, 3-fight win streak. He's had back-to-back round 3 finishes, okay? And he also got $50K for this. $50K performance bonus. I'm happy for him. As for Garrett Armfield, sitting at 2-2 in the UFC, this does snap a 2-fight losing streak, which is very sucky. But as for Garrett Armfield, of his 4 losses now, he's been submitted 3 times. I think that should be a sign to work on your grappling. Okay, he was taken down 6 times, for goodness sake. 5 minutes, 36 seconds control time for Brady Heisted. 13 attempts, though. He did defend 7, so we do got to give some props to Armfield there. No idea what's next for these guys, but I feel like Brady Heisted versus Raul Rosas Jr. would be a very good fight. And how about Garrett Armfield versus Ricky Tercios? We're building fights just like that. Third to last matchup of the evening had me happy as Lucas Almeida beats Timmy Kuwamba. And I was like, you know what? Timmy Kuwamba just does not have the look of someone who belongs in the UFC. No offense to you, Timmy. No offense to you. I saw you on Damon's Contender Series, but I just knew you didn't have it. Lucas almost finished him in round 1, dropped him, unfortunately, could not get the finish. After that, outstruck him in round 2, got outstruck in round 3. He did enough through the first 2, though, as he gets the win. 70 significant strikes, 259 in favor of Almeida. 91 total strikes, 73 in favor of Almeida. 2 of 5 on takedowns for Timmy Kuwamba. Only gets 2 minutes and 18 seconds of control time as Lucas Almeida gets his, I believe it's his first UFC win, if I'm not mistaken, or his first in a while. First since June of 2022, the snaps a 2-fight losing streak where he was finished in both fights. So great win for Lucas Almeida. 15-3 now, not too shabby. As for Timmy Kawamba, falls to 8-3, 2-fight losing streak. Both those coming in 2024, so kind of sad. This is the men's featherweight division. I mean, we saw Weston Wilson win earlier. We saw Melquiz Acosta win. I think those are options for Lucas Almeida. And as for Timmy Kawamba, Shailene Nerdembeek, Jekka Saragai, I like when there's multiple weight class fights on the same card. You can kind of look at these guys and go, okay, they can all fight each other, and it won't affect much. There's that. Co-main event of the evening, and did it disappoint? I don't know, because there weren't really much expectations for it. I did pick it incorrectly, as the 38-year-old Douglas Silva de Andrade did not have enough of the cast egg to win, as Miles Chapos Johns just gets another decision win. Does someone have the stats on how many decision wins Miles John has? Okay, so Miles Johns has 6 career finishes. All right, in 15 wins. That means he has 9 decision wins. 9 decision wins. That is ridiculous. Okay, he's on a 4-fight unbeaten streak, 2-fight win streak. He has one little no contest in there, which kind of messes up the win streak. But I'm just outstruck him 50 even strikes to 36. That's actually it. That's actually all I got for you. As for Douglas Silva de Andrade, he's gone win-loss since 2022. There's that. He's 38. Miles Johns. How old are you, Miles? 30 years old. Hey, you know what? Yeah, there's that. Miles Johns could take on Brady Highstead. Garrett Armfield could take on Douglas Silva de Andrade. I mean, anything could happen. Nothing much exciting on here. Nothing much exciting. It's like there's nothing bad that happened on this card. It's like none of the fights are bad, but they weren't like spectacular. They weren't like spectacular. We did get to the main event though, and thankfully all was righteous in the world. Thank you, Lord, as Tatsuo Taira beats Alex Perez and finishes him with an injury. And this is one of the weirdest ones where it's like he finished him with an injury, but he did it in a technical way. It was so weird, so weird. Tetsuya Taira, round 2, TKO. He was essentially on the back of Alex Perez, and he brought him backwards, and the process was holding his leg and injured Perez's leg. But Tetsuya was just too dominant. He just had it this fight. He just had it this fight, and he was losing on the feet. Okay, we'll say that. He was losing on the feet. Got outstruck by 6 in round 1, was getting outstruck by 4 in round 2. But once he turned on the grappling, 2 of 2 on takedowns, but 48 seconds of that in round 2. Tetsuya learned to improve, learned to get it done. And hey, how about that? Tetsuya Taira, Japanese sensation, 24 years old, 16-0, with now 12 finishes. His 5th career TKO. Impressive stuff. 6-0 in the UFC is so crazy to me. He's also now the number 5 ranked flyweight in the world. That's right. Alex Perez drops down to number 2. Manel Kape down to 8. He has a matchup with number 6, Muhammad Mokaev next month. Matthias Nakalu down to 10. Tim Elliott gets bumped to 11. Matt Schnell to 12. Tigger Limbeck off to 13. But Tatsuya Taira, the number 8 fighter in the world now, thanks to a little injury finish over Alex Perez. I do want to touch that. Alex Perez is, this is very unfortunate for him. Big risk, big reward. But he's now 1-4 in his last 5. He has 1 win since 2020, and he's also gotten finished in 3 of those 4 losses. So Alex Perez, not the hottest. Kind of makes me sad for you. But hey, Tetsuya Taira win. That's all I care about. I'm hearing that number 4 ranked Kai Kara France might take on number 9 ranked Steve Erceg in August, so there's that. Number 3 ranked Emil Bazzi doesn't currently have an opponent. Number 2, Brandon Moreno is taking some time off. Brandon Ravel, ranked number 1, will fight anyone, so Tetsuya Taira could take on the number 3, number 2, or number 1 guy in the world. Heck, they could even give him Alexander Pantoja. I don't care. I love Tetsuya Taira, one of my favorite fighters on the roster, and he got the victory. Best performance of the evening, even if it was an injury. I mean, the beach blonde Japanese kid, he has got it a-cooking. And this card obviously gets a 5 out of 10. Obviously not the best Apex card. Obviously not the worst. Nothing too memorable. The only happy thing for me is that my Taira boy won. Bam. That's all we got for UFC Vegas 93. And I'll tell you what else I do have for you, and that is the fact that I have watched a lot of movies over the last few days. Watched a good amount of movies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movies. One of which I watched with my girlfriend. Actually, 2 kind of. The other 4, I kind of was just at the library. I just enjoy going to the library. I passed my business statistics class. Round of applause. Someone cue the round of applause with a 98% A+. And after I was leaving, I was kind of just browsing the movies, and I was like, oh, there's a couple of movies I want to watch. I kind of went on a little binge of the Alien franchise. So instead of going over discussing film, because a lot has gone on discussing film, I figured I'd kind of give some reviews of 6 movies I've watched, tell you what to watch, what not to watch, and and stuff like that. So strap in, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for a little movie review action, and not on a Monday. Kicking us off, I will go over the Aliens movies I've watched. Of course, the Alien franchise, one of the more iconic movie franchises. You know, the xenomorph, that giant creature that just kills everyone on spaceships. And I went and watched Aliens, the sequel to it, and Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which are the two most recent ones, but are technically prequels. It's very weird. And I have my thoughts on all of them. So let's start with the OG Alien. And I won't lie, it wasn't the most scary thing. It wasn't the most scary thing. I'm pretty desensitized, so, you know, the whole alien coming out of the guy's chest and everything. And I already knew that Sigourney Weaver would be the only one surviving everyone, so not too many shockers. And, of course, this was shot in the freaking, I think, 70s or 80s, so the special effects were not the best. They were pretty good. The whole ship and everything, space was good. But the xenomorph, I mean, it wasn't the most scary thing. You know, it was clearly just a giant prop. And it left a little to be desired. I didn't think it was that good, but it wasn't necessarily awful. I had it on the background as I was scrolling on my phone. The sequel, though, Aliens, kind of threw that on. My girlfriend in the background was kind of watching. I think it was more entertaining, a lot more fighting, a lot more intense things. Xenomorphs are certainly a lot more scary because there's a lot of them. You have this whole like betrayal arc where it's like this one guy is trying to secretly bring one back to make a lot of money, and he's doing all that, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Instead of a cat being like the one character that never dies, it was this little girl. Very good character addition, and honestly, it felt better. And also has a way better rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's at like a 98%, and of course, it was directed by, oh my gosh, who's the guy that directed Avatar? Oh my goodness, I cannot think of his name. Who's the legendary director that James Cameron? James Cameron, of course, directed this film. And whenever James Cameron directs a film, I always put my trust into him. So, pretty good. I somewhat enjoyed it. I thought it was better than the first one. I chose not to watch Aliens 3, Aliens Resurrection, The Predators vs. Aliens. I've heard those movies are all absolutely terrible. But I did hear that Prometheus and Alien Covenant were not that bad. So I gave Prometheus a shot. It had Idris Elba, Charlize Theron, Michael Fassbender was the main character. Michael Fassbender, spoiler alert, he plays an android named David in the film. And essentially in Alien Covenant and Prometheus, David is the main character. And this whole premise was so weird. So weird. Essentially, they go to this planet looking for like the creation of life, and they, you know, people start getting infected with this disease. They start dying. So when David intentionally, Michael Fassbender's character, he intentionally doses like one of the guys to like die, and he gives birth to this one chick, and she actually ends up having an alien baby. It is so weird. And then this alien creature attacks what the creators are, and the creators are these weird humanoid looking creatures, or like they created everything. And at the end of the movie, you know, this giant creature ends up killing the creator, and then in the final seconds you see the alien xenomorph pop out of his belly. It's very weird. One of the main girls in this, she isn't even that big name of an actor. Her and Michael Fassbender's head as the android are the only thing that survives, and they ride off into the sunset. And the whole theme was Prometheus was the ship's name, and everyone dies, and it was kind of dumb. I can't lie, it left a little to be desired after this one. So then going into Alien Covenant, I was kind of like, oh, what to expect? And we go into this film, and, you know, it didn't have that much more. Of course, Michael Fassbender was back as David, you know, the old AI. And, of course, there was Walter, which was like the newer version of him. As well, it had the guy from, oh my goodness, he was in This Is How It Ends. He's been in, I think, Boondocks. He was in Land of the Lost. His name is completely escaping me, and I have to Google his name because it is actually killing me that I don't know this actor's name. He's a comedian. He was in this film. He's one of the only named actors that I actually knew in the film. I would appreciate if I could get a cast, if they will tell me who the cast is. Because this was just another one of those films where it just has every single character dying as the film goes along, and then it comes down to the final two, and it was Danny McBride. Thank you. But yes, Danny McBride was also in this film, and this one, they're on this planet, and there's no life on it, and then you find out that David, Michael Fassbender, him, the one chick from the end of Prometheus, crash landed here. He dissected her. He's been creating xenomorphs. xenomorphs. He's actually a psychotic AI. He killed all the people on here with the plague, and he's absolutely crazy. And he creates this xenomorph, which is just this scary creature. It's one of the scariest xenomorphs I've seen. And of course, everyone escapes. And the big twist at the end is that, Walter and David got in this fight, and you didn't see who won, and you thought it was Walter. And it turned out it was David, which was the different AI version of Michael Fassbender, which just, it sounds confusing to say because it is confusing. And essentially, the movie ends with Dane McBride, the other main female character, going into cryo sleep chambers, and she then discovers that it's actually the bad Michael Fassbender, who is still alive, and he brought some of the alien samples, and he's the whole reason that the alien creatures exist in the first place. So that was all there was for the Alien franchise, and I can definitely do without it. The new Alien Romulus movie comes out this summer, and after watching all the past Aliens, I can all but confirm I will not be dabbling in Alien Romulus. I'll wait till that comes out on DVD or like a streaming service, most likely. But all the Alien movies in total get a 6 out of 10, maybe even a 5 out of 10. They're just, all the characters die except like 1 or 2. That's the theme of every single Aliens movie. So we'll leave all the Aliens movies in the past. Another movie I checked out, American Psycho, I watched last night. Of course, the hit film, Patrick Bateman, played by Christian Bale, the Wall Street man, the broker, the financer of the 80s, who in the nightlife is a serial killer. It is a very weird movie, a lot of weird scenes. Christian Bale is in excellent shape for this film. It also stars a young, Reese Witherspoon. That's what it was. It starts with a young Reese Witherspoon. But yeah, just a whole weird premise, and it kind of ends, of course, spoiler alert, with you wondering, did anything actually happen, just because of how mentally crazy Christian Bale's character is. He kills a bunch of people, he kills them, he videos them, eats them. I mean, he is absolutely wild. All based off a 1981 book, or it might have been a 1991 book, actually, and my goodness, just such a horrific film. Just the goriness of it. You never really feel for him. He never gets caught. It is super weird, but I finally got around to watching it. I've heard it's a cult classic. It is certainly something. The acting's amazing. I'll say the acting's amazing. But the whole, Christian Bale is just raping and killing all these women. It's very, very icky. Very icky. It really, I did look up, the meanings of this film. It deals with, psychology and materialism. There's a lot of underlying themes, as always. But at the end of the day, it is just something. Just gory, messy, sexual. That's what it is. American Psycho. Can probably do without it, but I'll still give it a 7 out of 10. I gotta give respect to where it's due. It's just what I do. And then the final movie that I watched over, last week or so was with my girlfriend. I watched Hitman, the new movie starring Glenn Powell, out now on Netflix. I don't have Netflix, so I had to go to Alexi's house to watch it. And while watching it, it was very weird. First off, spoiler for Hitman. It starts off, Glenn Powell's this average college professor, kind of a nerdy guy. And on the night scene, after hours, he is a fake hitman to catch people with the cops. And, it's going all well for him. He's kind of this cool guy. He's doing all these funny characters that catch everyone, kind of comical. And then he meets this girl, and she wants to kill her husband. But guess what? He thinks that he kind of has a crush on her. He's like, oh, no, don't do it. And they start to have a romantic relationship. And halfway through the film, it cuts to, I don't even know, it's 20 minutes straight of them just engaging in sex. It is so weird. It's just like a montage of all their lovemaking. And Glenn Powell goes over to her house, and they engage in love. And then, he's back to being Gary, the typical school teacher. But then he's also portraying, I cannot remember his name. He's portraying, I can't remember the character's name, but he portrays this one guy who's like this badass assassin. And then eventually, the woman's husband or ex-husband, they were separated, gets involved, and then she ends up killing him. Okay, she ends up killing him, spoiler alert, and he helps cover it up with the cops. And then there's this detective that's onto them, gonna crack the case, and he ends up being poisoned, and then Glenn Powell puts a bag over his head and lets him die. I kid you not, it is so dark. And the movie ends with those two in the future with their kids asking how mommy and daddy met. And I kid you not, I was like, am I supposed to feel for these people? They just murdered a man. Oh my goodness, Glenn Powell's good looks were not getting past me. I did enjoy that this was kind of a good rom-com. I did like that the woman in the film was not a big-name actress. You related more to her with Glenn Powell. But I mean, just did not know how to really feel, did not really know how to I'd accept the fact that they're good guys, but they won in the end. They killed the man. Very weird, very straightforward, and I think it completely strayed from the plot. I don't know what this movie was. I don't know what it wanted to be. It wanted to be a rom-com. Wanted to be Glenn Powell's an undercover hitman. He's not an actual hitman. It gets a 6.5 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. I did not really know what to make of it, so I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of happy that I watched it, because I'm always kind of like, oh, what's the big hit? Like, Baby Reindeer. Got to figure out what everyone's watching. And at the end of the day, I don't really think I missed out. Now that I said that, I don't think I missed out. So there's that. It was interesting, and we are definitely going to leave Hitman to another day. But yeah, those are all the movies that I watched over the last few weeks. You guys should let me know if there's any movies that I should check out. I'm always a movie guy. Always enjoy watching a good film. And honestly, I don't really have any TV shows. I mean, The Boys Season 4 comes out every Thursday. House of Dragon comes out every Sunday. I watch Kill Tony on Mondays. So, usually my Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays are pretty free, unless we get a little UFC. So if there's anything I can ever stream, binge, whatever, I'm always here to take it. I have nothing to binge. I've binged all my shows. I do have to watch Breaking Bad at some point, and Peaky Blinders. So there's so many shows that I want to watch. But we will leave that for another day. But what we are going to leave for this episode is our UFC Saudi Arabia picks. Of course, we have a lot of fights to get through. 11 at the moment. There have been some cancellations, some changes of sorts, but nonetheless, we have made it here. We are ready to drop our official predictions. Let's get right on into it, ladies and gentlemen. Alrighty, kicking the night off. We're starting off with a bang on the Saudi Arabian prelims as we are wrapping up the road to the UFC Season 2 championships in the bantamweight division. And the two competitors will be Zhao Long and Chang Ho Lee. Zhao Long is 26-7. Chang Ho Lee is 9-1. Both men are 5'8". 70-inch reach to 69-inch reach gives Zhao Long just 1 inch, and they both stand in the orthodox stance. Let's start with Zhao Long. Long Zhao, however you say his name. On Tapeology it had it as Long Chao. On the UFC, they have it as Zhao Long, so it's either Long Zhao or Zhang Lao, whatever it is. The 26-year-old from China has 4 KOs and 9 submissions, so half of his 26 wins are by finish. Of those 7 losses, he has been KO'd 3 times. He's currently on a 4-fight win streak, and this is actually the 3rd time him versus Chang Ho Lee has been booked, so thankfully this fight is going down. Zhao Long originally fought on Dana White's Contender Series back in 2021. He lost the decision to Christian Quiones, but after a little 2-year hiatus away from the UFC, he's come on, and in May and August of last year won both of his road to the UFC matchups. Of course, that's like the Asian Dana White's Contender Series in like a tournament form. It's the only way I could really describe that. Used some grappling in one, defending grappling in another, uses striking in one. Appears to be pretty well-rounded, and for 26 years old, already having 33 professional bouts, I think that's pretty good. Zhao Long, I'm interested to see what you bring to the table. His opponent, Chang Ho Lee, 30 years old from South Korea, currently on a 3-fight win streak. Of his 9 victories, he has 4 KOs and 2 submissions. His 1 loss was by decision. In his road to the UFC matchups, he got a round 1 TKO over Ranaruda Pratap Singh. I kid you not, I can already tell that boy's from Indonesia or India. His other matchup, he was able to knock out Darmisi Zawupasi. Wow, I love these names. In round number 3 with a little TKO. That matchup, he was taken down 6 times, but took his opponent down 4 times for able to get into TKO position from top back mount. Interesting stuff with both of these guys, and there's not much to go off of. Pretty well-rounded. Zhang Lao definitely has the experience, I'll say. We actually have the betting odds for every single matchup on this card. Zhang Lao is currently a -120, and Chang Ho Lee is a +100, so that is pretty dang split. I'm either going to go, Chang Lao, he's getting finishes, he's getting it done, but Zhang Lao, he has the experience. 33 victories. In both of their matchups, they experienced pretty similar discrepancies. More strikes per minute goes to Zhang Lao. Better accuracy to Chang Ho Lee. Zhao Long absorbs more, but has better defense. Chang Ho does more takedowns, 4.3 per 15-minute fight. But the takedown defense is 78% for Zhao Long. There's just nothing to really go off of here, guys. Honestly, and it comes down to it, I think I'm going to ride with experience. I'm going to pick the favorite, Zhao Long. It's 50-50. It's a toss-up. He's got more experience. He's been in UFC platforms before. We're going to see if he's improved from his previous matchup. So we'll go with Zhao Long to kick off the evening. After that, we head to the men's light heavyweight division as we get another fun one here as Magomed Gadzhiasulov, 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 I'm sorry, guys, takes on Brenson the Gorilla Ribeiro. Very easy. Magomed is 8-0 undefeated. Brenson Ribeiro is 15-6 with 2 no contests. 6'3 to 6'2 gives Brenson 1 inch in height, and he has a notable 6 inches in reach. 81 inches is 75 inches. Both men are in the orthodox position, and both men are naturally at light heavyweight. Let's start with the undefeated Dagestani protege Magomed Gadzhiasulov, of course, 30 years old, born in Dagestan, but now lives and trains in Bahrain, of course, the same place as bottom 15 heavyweight Shamil Gaziev. Magomed has 4 KOs and 1 submission of his 8 victories and has a Sambo background. He fought on Dana White's Contender Series Season 7, Episode 9 back in October, which was when his last fight was. He was able to grapple Jose Medina to a decision. By the way, Jose Medina, that is the same guy who's taking on Zach Reese, as we mentioned earlier. In, I believe, when is he taking on Zach Reese? In August at some point? In that matchup, Magomed landed 6 of 7 takedowns for 6 minutes of control time. Also showed his striking in round 1 and 2. Round 3, he was outstruck a bit, but was able to land 4 takedowns. So Magomed, very well-rounded, very adept to this light heavyweight division, and he is a minus 470 favorite. He is the biggest favorite on the whole card, which I find pretty crazy. So it's really rare you see the biggest favorite lose, just to keep that in the back of your mind. However, he does have a 6-inch reach deficit, but with a wrestling background, we'll see how he does against the Brazilian, the 27-year-old Brenson the Gorilla Ribeiro. 27 years old from Brazil, plus 360 underdog. Of his 15 victories, 9 KOs and 6 submissions. That's right, a 100% finish rate. And of his 6 losses, he's been finished or knocked out. He's been knocked out or submitted 5 of those times. Most recently got a round 1 TKO in September over Bruno Lopez on Dana White's Contender Series to earn a contract. February of this year, he got knocked out by Zhang Mingyang in under 2 minutes. In pretty crazy fashion, too. Zhang Mingyang was an absolute beast in that matchup, but I mean, this guy is so legit. He's as game as they come. It's more of a matter if his takedown defense can hold up, and I don't necessarily know if it can. I don't think I'm really going to favor him in any aspect here. The undefeated Magomed in his home country of Saudi Arabia, if you will. It's kind of the home, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi. It's kind of associated with the Russians for some reason. I just think his favors Magomed. He's undefeated. I think he takes down Brenson and gets a submission. Plus, he is a minus 470. I'm sorry, Brenson. The reach is good. And that's until a Russian gets a hold of you and he taps you out, and then you're crying for your mama. Wow, that took a turn, guys. I'm sorry about that, but yes, we're picking the undefeated Magomed. Going back down to the bantamweight division as Kang, Mr. Perfect Ho Kang, or Kyung Ho, Mr. Perfect Kang, however you want to say it, takes on Muing Tajik Gafurev. Kyung Ho Kang, 19-10 professionally with 1 no contest. Muing Gafurev, 18-6. 5'9" to 5'7" gives Kang 2 inches in height, and he also has 5 inches in reach. Orthodox stands for Kang, Southpaw for Muing Gafurev. Let's start with Muing Gafurev. The 28-year-old born in Tajikistan, now lives and trains in Virginia, actually. Of his 18 victories, has 17 finishes, 10 KOs and 7 submissions. Of his 6 losses, he's only ever been submitted once. And fun fact, that submission was actually in his last bout in October when Said Nurmagomedov submitted him in a minute 13. So other than that, he's never been finished. He's a minus 125 favorite, and so far in the UFC, I mean, he lost on Dana White's Contender Series in 2021 to Chad Hellinger. After that, lost his debut in June last year to John Castaneda. Of course, mentioned in October he was submitted. So Muing Gafurev hasn't had the best start to his UFC run. However, he takes on Kyung Ho Kang, who this is a very good opponent for Muing to take on. He's a plus 105 underdog, 36 years old from South Korea. Of his 19 wins, 2 KOs, and 12 submissions. Of his 10 losses, he's only ever been finished twice. So far in the UFC, Kyung Ho Kang been around a while, since 2013. I mean, he's taken on Alex Caceres, Ricardo Ramos, Teruto Ishira, Batargani Gana. He's 2-2 in his last 4 fights. Those have been the most recent ones in 2021 to 2023. Last year he went 1-1. He would actually submit Christian Quinones in June and drop a decision to John Castaneda in November. It's tough to see what type of Kang shows up. I mean, I've seen the striking on display. I've seen his submissions. He's had fight of the nights. I think he's had four submissions in the UFC. An arm triangle, a triangle choke, and a rear naked choke. So we know he's pretty talented. Muin Gafurov, he'll probably be leaning more towards the takedowns for this fight. As much as I would like to lean on Muin Gafurov, I just think Kyung Ho Kang is much more talented, so I'm going to give Kang the nod. And honestly, something about when a fighter gets finished, having never been finished before, it kind of does something mentally to them. So I'm thinking Kyung Ho Kang might even get a little finish on this card, too. Keep your eyes out for a knockout or maybe even a 13th career submission. Kyung Ho Kang. Get it done. He's also got 5 inches in reach. Moving on to one of my personal favorites, my favorite prelim, definitely by a long shot, the men's welterweight division. The winner of this, I kid you not, will definitely be getting a top 15 opponent, probably in the bottom. You're probably looking at the winner of this taking on Neil Magny, Jeff Neal, someone like them, their names, as Renat Gladiator Fakhretdinov takes on Nicholas Danish Dynamite Dalby. I mean, some banger nicknames, too. Love these guys. Renat Fakhretdinov, 21-1-1. Wow, just a phenomenal record. We're actually going to touch more on that in a second. Nicholas Dalby, 23-4 with 1 draw and 2 no contests. 6'5", 11 gives Renat 2 inches in height. They have the same reach of 74 inches and both stand in the orthodox stance. These two are about as even as it comes. Who should we start out with, though? Let's go with Dalby. Let's go with the underdog first. The plus 235 underdog, Nicholas Dalby, 39 years old, from Denmark. Of his 23 wins, 7 KOs and 4 submissions. Of his 4 losses, never been finished. Currently on a 4-fight win streak, 5-1 in his last 5-1 in his last 6, and he's actually only has 1 loss in his last 9 fights. Pretty crazy. Dalby been in the UFC since 2015. I mean, here's a guy, wins a split decision over Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos' debut, takes it until to a split decision, then goes on an awkward stretch where he drops decisions to Zach Cummings and Peter Sabata, comes back in 2019, gets a win, then gets submitted by Jesse Bronson in 2020, but finally, in November 2020, starts stringing the wins together. Beats Daniel Rodriguez. Unfortunately, in June of 2021, drops the decision to Tim Means. Since then, been pretty perfect. Beats Claudio Silva in July of 2022. Last year goes 3-0, wins over Walray Alvarez, Muslim Slikov, and the biggest win of his career as he beats the undefeated 50-0 Gabriel Bonfim with all finishes in his home country of Brazil back in November in a fight of the night round 2 TKO. Dalby coming in with so much momentum. He called for a top 15 guy. This is about as close to the top 15. Renat Fakhretdinov was ranked number 15th. They bumped him out just because of MVP winning and him being kind of inactive. So I'm excited to see what goes down, but Dalby is as game as they come. The only thing that kind of draws some concern is the fact he's 39 years old. He was born in 1984. His birthday is in November. His opponent is a scary man. That is right. The minus 290, 32-year-old from Russia, who is currently on a 21-fight unbeaten streak. That is right. I kid you not. 21 straight unbeaten streak. It is absolutely immaculate. By the way, 21 career wins. He started out his career 1-1, and since then has yet to lose. Has led to his 20-fight win streak. Of course, he had a draw last time out in November. Same card as that Nicholas Dalby card. And Renat Fakhretdinov has been on an absolute run. And of those 21 wins, 18 finishes. I mean, come on, Renat. Come on. You're an absolute beast. He's got a bit of height. And I mean, he's a grappler through and through. His debut, June of 2022, landed 5 takedowns, 13 minutes of control time. Against Brian Battle in December of 2022, 7 takedowns, 14 minutes, 11 seconds. He even landed a knockdown that fight. July last year, I mean, my favorite finish from that card. It was actually the first card we ever predicted here on the podcast. We said he'd get done. He did. He dropped and submitted Kevin Lee. That's right, former title challenger Kevin Lee in 55 seconds. Incredible. In November, obviously took Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos to a draw, dominated him in round 1, dropped him, took him down. Round 2 was a bit closer, then lost round 3 on the feet. So that is something to keep in mind. Renat did kind of fade in that fight, similar to Gabriel Bonfim, but I do not see Renat Fakhretdinov struggling much in this one. I'm sorry, Dolby. I know you're an absolute killer, but we got to ride with the minus 290 favorite, Renat Fakhretdinov. And by the way, he's going to get a submission in this one. He's going to take him down. He's going to submit him. He's an absolute killer. And even though he has more KOs, I do think that Dolby's going to fall victim to a little guillotine or something from Renat the Gladiator Fakhretdinov. An amazing nickname, too. The Gladiator is amazing. Dropping down to the featherweight division for our second to last bout of the prelims, I believe, as Muhammad Naimov takes on Felipe Lima. Muhammad Hillman Naimov takes on Felipe Jungle Boy Lima. Ooh, I like the nicknames. I like the nicknames we're throwing around in this one. It's pretty fun. Muhammad Naimov 11-2, Felipe Lima 12-1. 5'9" to 5'6" gives Muhammad 3 inches in height, and he has 2 inches in reach, 70 inches to 68. Both men stand in the orthodox stance. And we've had a plethora of canceled bouts on this card, and one of the more interesting ones is the fact that Naimov was supposed to take on Melsik Bagdasaryan, but Melsik Bagdasaryan unfortunately tore his labrum. Very tragic, very unfortunate. So in steps Felipe Lima. This should be very, very fascinating if you ask me. Felipe Lima is 26 years old, from Brazil. Of his 12 wins, he has 4 KOs and 2 submissions, and he's currently on a 12-fight win streak, by the way. Lost his debut, since then has not dropped anything. He actually won, I think it is the Jungle FC. I don't know where that league's located, but it might be in Brazil. But he won their featherweight champion or bantamweight championship, so he is moving up in weight for an opportunity like this. His one loss, I believe he was submitted in, which I do find kind of notable. So kudos to him for taking this fight, but it will be no easy going against the Hillman Muhammad Naimov. Muhammad Naimov, 29 years old, from Tajikistan, now lives and trains in Colorado with Curtis Blades, Corey Sanhagen. Very fun. He's currently on a 6-fight win streak and has 5 KOs and 3 submissions, so 8 of his 11 wins are by finish. Was on Dana White's Contender Series in 2020, lost to Colin Anglin. That's a bad person to lose to Colin Anglin. It's not the best. But came back in 2023, of course, on a 3-fight win streak, and since coming in, he's currently on a 3-fight win streak. Knocked out Jamie Malarkey in his debut in June. In October, beat Nathaniel Wood. Beat Eric Silva in February of this year. Eric Silva injured himself 44 seconds in. So Naimov finally gets an opponent. Should be interesting. I'm sorry, Felipe Lima. I absolutely love you, but it's going to Muhammad Naimov. And they're split. Minus 105 for Muhammad Naimov. Minus 115 for Felipe Lima. The odds keep... oh my gosh, I just did it again, guys. I highlighted Felipe Lima on my sheet, but no, we're changing it to Muhammad Naimov. We're not falling for that trick again. Nice try. What happened to Jimmy Flick? But Muhammad Naimov is good to get done. Muhammad Naimov's good to get done. By the way, Felipe Lima is up in weight. I do think that is a notable aspect to point out, is that he moved up in weight. He's not naturally a featherweight, so I think the weight discrepancy is going to mess him up a bit. With that, we get into our final prelim of the evening as we head to the men's lightweight division, as these are 2 guys, of course, right on the outside of the men's lightweight division, as Nasrat Haqpasarat takes on Jared Flash Gordon. Ooh, should be a good one here. Nasrat 16-5. Jared is 20-6 with 1 no contest. 5'10" to 5'9" gives Nasrat just 1 inch in height, but he has 4 inches in reach, 72 inches to 68. Southpaw stance for Nasrat, orthodox for Jared Gordon. Let's kick it off with Nasrat Haqparasat, I think how you say it, the minus 225 favorite, 28 years old, born in Afghanistan, now trains in Germany. 10 KOs of his 16 wins. Of his 5 losses, he's been finished twice. He's only ever been finished twice. One of those in the UFC by Drew Dober. Drew Dober actually knocked him out in 2020 in a minute. Fun fact. But since then, I mean, of course, Nasrat's been in the UFC since 2017. In 2021, 2022, suffered losses to Dan Hooker and Bobby Green, but since September 2022, has been on a little 3-fight win streak. Beat John McDessie, beat Leon Aquinoz in September of 2023, and in December, knocked out Jamie Malarkey in 1 minute and 44 seconds, earned himself $50K, absolutely destroyed him. And now he's back, looking to get a win and looking to move to a 4-fight win streak and potentially get a top 15 opponent in the Bobby Green Paddy Pimblett loser or Rafael Dos Santos. Some of those names. His opponent, though, Jared Gordon, the plus 185 underdog from New York. He is 35 years old. Of his 20 wins, 7 KOs and 2 submissions. Of his 6 losses, though, he has been KO'd 4 times. So the chin is not always there for Jared Gordon. Been in the UFC since 2017. I mean, he's been knocked out by Diego Ferreira, by Joaquim Silva, by Charles Oliveira. He's been submitted by Grant Dawson. It wasn't really until his last 3 fights he was starting to gain some notoriety. He, of course, fought Paddy Pimblett in December 2022. A lot of people, I think the masses, thought he won that fight, but was screwed on the judge's scorecard. He would then have a no contest against Bobby Green in April of 2023. But in November, was able to get a round 1 knockout of Mark Madsen. He's back looking to bring the fury. But unfortunately, I just think Nasrat's momentum, the fact he's a bit younger, is going to play into Haqparasat's favor. Plus, he's in Afghanistan, close to Saudi Arabia. Probably going to have some more home fans than New York Jared Gordon. Jared's also 35. I mean, he's up there in age. So I think it's nearing the end. It's nearing the end for good old Jared Gordon. But Nasrat looking to get a big win here. We wish him luck. With that, we get into our main card, and we kick it off with an absolute banger, ladies and gentlemen. An absolute banger as we go to the men's ranked light heavyweights, as the number 7 ranked Johnny Walker takes on the number 9 ranked Volkan Ozdemir. Holy cannoli. Holy cannoli. Gonna be good. Gonna be good. Let's check out the tail of the tape. Johnny Walker, 21-8 with 1 no contest. Volkan Ozdemir, 19-7. 6'6" to 6'2" gives Johnny 4 inches in height. He also has a crazy 7 inches in reach, 82 inches to 75. Both men stand in the orthodox fighting position. Let's kick it off with Johnny Walker. I freaking love Johnny Walker, man. The number 7 ranked light heavyweight in the world. He has yet to have a boring fight. He really just, he has so many amazing fights. So many amazing fights out there. And the 32-year-old, he's the favorite in this one, minus 120. Born in Brazil, now lives and trains in England. Actually trains at SBG Ireland with Conor McGregor. He has 16 KOs and 3 submissions, 19 finishes of his 21 fights. He has been KO'd 5 times and submitted once, so he's been finished 6 of his 8 appearances. Loves to get knocked out, but I mean, dude, he's crazy. Finishes with Khalil Roundtree Jr., Justin Ledet, Misha Serkinov. So fun. He's been finished by Corey Anderson. He's finished Ryan Spann. He's been knocked out by Jamal Hill. He's knocked out Paul Craig. Finished Ion Kudalaba. Beaten Anthony Smith. Been knocked out by Magomedov Ankalaev. He's do or die. He brings it till the end, and Johnny Walker is so entertaining. He's coming off a knockout loss in January, but like I said, he was on fire last year. 2-0 with 1 no contest. Pretty good. So Johnny Walker, fun fight. We'll see how he does against the former title challenger, Volkan Ozdemir. That title shot was 5 years ago, and only his 4th UFC fight against Daniel Cormier, where he got finished round 2. But since then, I mean, it's been up and down for Volkan. The plus 100 underdog, 34 years old from Switzerland, has 12 KOs and 2 submissions in his 19 wins. Of his 7 losses, he's been finished 4 times. Some of those times they're against Anthony Smith, Daniel Cormier, Jerry Prochazka. In recent history, since 2022, he's beaten Paul Craig by decision, lost to Nikita Krylov in a very entertaining fight in 2022, and had 1 fight last year in 2023 where he shockingly submitted Bogdan Guskov for only his 2nd career submission in round number 1. So Volkan Ozdemir holds win over the number 12 ranked Bogdan Guskov, holds a loss to the number 6 ranked Nikita Krylov. We'll see if he can hang with the number 7 ranked Johnny Walker. But I hate to say it, guys, I am all in on Johnny Walker here. Volkan Ozdemir, he may be good, but he's hit or miss. He's gone win-loss for so long now, and I think Johnny Walker is due for a little knockout action. So give me that round 1 knockout for good old Johnny boy, and we'll settle this as a win for the number 7 ranked Johnny Walker. We'll see what happens, though. After that, we go to the men's middleweight division for, I think this may be, gosh, I have so many favorites on this card. I have too many favorites, too many favorite fights on this card, but I love this fighter, Shara Magomedov. That is right, this absolute maniac of a man, Shara Magomedov, will be taken on short notice, Antonio Tricoli. Like we mentioned, this is his 3rd opponent. He was supposed to take on Andre Muniz. Andre pulled out. Okay, he was supposed to take on Yelton Lauderbeck. Yelton Lauderbeck got flagged for foreign substance. So in steps the man Antonio Tricoli, who was supposed to take on the man in the main event This is actually crazy. Ikram Alkasarov was supposed to fight. Actually, oh my gosh, how do I explain this to everyone? So Andre Munoz was supposed to fight Ikram Alkasarov last week's card. Andre pulled out, Antonio Tricoli stepped in. When Hamzat Chimaev got pulled from the main event of this card against Robert Whitaker, Ikram stepped in. Tricoli didn't have an opponent. Shar was supposed to take on Ira Patera. Ira Patera, of course, took a fight with Michelle Pajera instead at the start of this month. And so in stepped Jolton Lauderbeck. Jolton Lauderbeck leaves the fight. Now Antonio Tricoli is in for this fight. Lots of crazy stuff has transpired. Lots of crazy stuff has happened. We don't have a tail of the tape for Antonio Tricoli, but we do have some background. Antonio Tricoli, 33 years old, from Brazil, is on a 3-fight win streak. He has 3 KOs and 5 submissions of his, I kid you not when I tell you this, 38 professional wins. I mean, utterly crazy. Oh, that was Jolton. Antonio Tricoli has less. I think he has like 12. He's only ever been KO'd once, but he did last fight in 2021, which is kind of a doozy. Kind of a doozy, if you ask me. 2021. So it's been 3 years since he last fought, just to keep you in the loop. However, his opponent, Ozdemir Sharamagomedov, he's fought more recently. Let me tell you about Shara here for a second. I'm getting all excited. 30 years old, from Russia. He's a minus 225 favorite. 10 KOs of his 12 victories. He's 12-0, by the way, undefeated. And he's actually starring in an assassin film coming up. I mean, this dude is absolutely crazy. He won his debut over Bruno Silva back in October. He's been trying to get a fight ever since. Finally gets a fight, whether it's against Antonio Tricoli, Jolton Lauderbeck. You can bet I'm cashing. The line is 225. Sharamagomedov, round 1 knockout. It's right there. He's going to get it. Sharamagomedov all day. It doesn't matter who he was fighting. I was picking him. Easy money. There's not much to gloat about. He has one eye. He looks like a pirate. His nickname's the Bullet. He's Russian. He's from Dagestan. He's a killer. Let's keep it moving. We head to the men's welterweight division next for a competitive bout here, one of the more competitive bouts of the evening, as Kelvin Gastelum takes on Daniel D. Rodriguez. Kelvin Gastelum, 18-9 with 1 no contest. Daniel Rodriguez, 17-4. 6'1" to 5'9", gives Daniel 4 inches in height, and he's 3 inches in reach, 74 inches to 71. Southpaw stance for both of these gentlemen. Minus 240 favorite for Kelvin Gastelum is very surprising for me. Very surprising. I honestly thought that this would be much closer odds, but I guess they're favoring the former title challenger, Kelvin Gastelum, 32 years old, from Arizona. Of his 18 wins, he has 5 KOs and 5 submissions. Of his 9 losses, he's been subbed 3 times. Never KO'd, though. However, he only has 2 wins since 2017, which is not very good. 2018, I mean, but yeah. It's been a rough going. He's 2-6 in his last 8. He's 1-3 in his last 4. It's been a rough go for Kelvin Gastelum. Where do we even begin? You know, he fought Israel Adesanya in one of the fights of the, I think it won fight of the year in 2019. Then lost a close suspicion to Darren Till in 2019. Got heel hooked by Jack Manson in 2020. Picked up a much needed win over the unranked Ian Heinisch 2021. By the way, Ian Heinisch would not win another fight after that. He would then take short notice fights against Robert Whitaker and Jared Cannonier, losing both of those. He would take 2 years off and return in 2023 to beat Chris Curtis in Fight of the Night, and he would get absolutely dominated in December by Sean Brady. 9 minutes of control time in this fight from Sean Brady. The fight lasted 11 minutes and 43 seconds. Gets submitted with a Kimura. It was rough, but Kelvin Gastelum's back, taking on someone of lesser degree, finally, in Daniel Rodriguez. The plus 190 underdog is 37 years old, from Las Vegas. 8 KOs and 4 submissions make up his 17 wins, and he's only ever been KO'd and subbed once. Now, I will point out he was on a 4-fight win streak before he got submitted by Neil Magny in 2022 and knocked up Ian Gary in 2023. So both of his career finishes have happened in his last 2 fights. So the confidence is a bit rattled. I mean, before that, he was on absolute fire, 7-1 in the UFC. Only loss was to Nicholas Dalby. He had a finish of Preston Parsons, dominant performance over Mike Perry, beat Kevin Lee, beat Lin Jin Liang, but now he's kind of in danger territory. And I think Kelvin Gastelum takes this one. I think skill level, I think where these two are at in their career, Gastelum has fought nowhere near the level Daniel Rodriguez has fought. And I just think he gets this done. I honestly just think Gastelum gets this done. It's ride or die. And the last time it was ride or die, Gastelum stepped up. The time before that one was ride or die, Gastelum stepped up. He even said in the presser, he feels the loser goes home in this one. And that's a perfect description of it. We do have to be careful of the height and reach. They do favor Rodriguez. But then again, Gastelum went 5 rounds with Israel Adesanya, who was way, way, way taller than him. I think Adesanya had 6 inches in height on him or something. It was crazy. And he was able to push him to his limits. Let's get into the co-main event, ladies and gentlemen, because it just might be my favorite fight of the evening as my favorite heavyweight. The number 3 ranked Sergey Pavlovich takes on the number 5 ranked Alexander Volkov. That's right, top 5 heavyweight action in the co-main event. This could easily be the main event. Let's kick it off. The number 3 ranked Sergey Pavlovich takes on Alexander, the 5th ranked Drago Volkov. Sergey 18-2. Alexander Volkov 37-10. 6'7" to 6'3 gives Volkov 4 inches in height, but Sergey has 4 inches in reach, 84 inches to 80. Southpaw stance with that left for Sergey, orthodox with the right for Alexander Volkov. This fight is such a shame, guys. This fight is such a shame because these two are actually buddies. These two actually like each other. But the UFC, instead of booking Sergey Pavlovich versus Cyril Gane, instead of booking Alexander Volkov versus Almeida, they said, hey, why don't we have everyone else fight each other and have the 2 Russians fight each other? So that's where they wound up. That's why they're here. Let's start off with the Polish wrecking machine. I don't even know. Sergey doesn't have a nickname. He's lovable. He's kind. He knocks out every single opponent in round number 1. He's an absolute killer. The minus 210 favorite, the 32-year-old from Russia. Of his 18 wins, he has 15 KOs. And the last time this man did not go past round 1 was in 2017 when he went the distance. Since 2017, every single one of Sergey Pavlovich's fights have ended in round 1. Joined the UFC in 2018, gets finished in round 1 by Alistair Overeem. Following that, knocks out Marcelo Golman in round 1, knocks out Maurice Green in round 1, knocks out Shamil Abdurakhimov in round 1, knocks out Derek Lewis in round 1, knocks out Tai Tuivasa in round 1, knocks out Chris Blades in round 1, and then most recently in November got knocked out in round 1 by Tom Aspinall. Now, mind you, this is pretty interesting. Tom Aspinall landed 10 significant strikes to Sergey's 1. The 1 strike Sergey landed wobbled Tom Aspinall for a split second before Sergey got too crazy, left his chin open, and got dropped. Okay, but Sergey Pavlovich, he's a killer. I absolutely love this guy. And he sadly has to fight his Russian amigo, Alexander Volkov. But they won't be buddies in there. They know the stakes. The plus 175 underdog, Alexander Volkov, is 35 years old, also from Russia. Of his 37 wins, 24 KOs, 4 submissions, 27 finishes, 37 wins. 5 of his 10 losses, though, he has been finished. But he's on the best run of his career. Three fight win streak, all of them finishes. He's 4-1 in his last 5. I mean, Volkov came to the UFC in 2016. Beat Tim Johnson, Roy Nelson, Stefan Struve, Fabricio Verdum. Of course, lost the crazy fight to Derek Lewis. Would bounce back, lose, bounce back, lose. Really is yet to really be in a boring fight, but as more recently, June 2022, knocked out Jairzinho Rozenstruik in round 1. March 2023, finished Alexander Romanov in round 1. And in September, his most recent fight, he submitted Tai Tuivasa in round 2 with an Ezekiel choke. Absolutely dominated him that fight. This fight should be fun as long as it lasts, but obviously I'm picking my boy Sergey Pavlovich, round 1 knockout. Take it to the bank, bet your life savings. If he ain't going out in round 1, then he's sending your boy out in round 1. So Sergey Pavlovich, I think he's one of the only guys where you can go, yeah, he's getting the round 1 knockout there. There really isn't a debate if he's going to get it. It's more of a matter when he gets it done. So there's that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we get to our main event of the evening. It was a rough road here. Let me just tell you that. As we originally had the number 11 ranked Khamzat Chimaev taking on the number 3 ranked Robert Whittaker. But Khamzat pulled out an illness, food poisoning, who knows what. Lots of rumors are swirling around. But instead steps in the fun fact about this man, Ikram Alkasarov. He's had an interesting career. 15-1, his 1 loss is to Khamzat Chimaev, which I find pretty fascinating. He's so far 2-0 in the UFC, both round 1 knockouts. Pretty interesting. We'll see how he does against the former middleweight champion, Robert the Reaper Whittaker. Whittaker, 26-7. Ikram, of course, 15-1. Both men are 6 foot. 76 inches to 73 inches gives Ikram 3 inches in reach. Southpaw stance with the left for Ikram. Orthodox for Robert Whittaker. Who should we start with? Let's start with the man himself, Robert Whittaker, the number 3 middleweight in the world. Could very well be in the men's pound for pound for all I'm concerned. Rob, 33 years old, from Australia. Of his 26 wins, 9 KOs, and 5 submissions. Of his 7 losses, he's been finished 4 times, 3 of those KO'd. I do find that fascinating. Whittaker's been around since 2012. Of course, he was fighting Wonderboy Thompson down at welterweight. Finally jumped up to middleweight, went on a crazy run. I mean, he beat Brad Tavares, Derek Brunson, Jacare Souza, Yoel Romero Twite in amazing fights before losing to Israel Adesanya. He would then beat Darren Till, Cannonier Gastelum, work back to another fight, lose to Adesanya. And then since then, it's kind of played gatekeeper. Lost to Marvin Vettori, beat Marvin Vettori, then lost to Dricus du Plessis last summer. Earlier this year, though, beat Paulo Costa. It appears he's on a little win-loss trail. His only losses in the UFC, as of right now, have in the middleweight division, I should say, have been to former champions in Israel Adesanya and in Dricus du Plessis. I do find that kind of fascinating. Whittaker, only 33. But like I said, it's these fights you got to be careful of when you take on a killer on short notice in Ikram Alakasarov. 31 years old, he's a plus 120 underdog from Russia. 7-fight win streak. Of his 15 wins, 6 KOs, and 5 submissions. Debuted on Dana White's Contender Series in 2022 with a 2-minute Kimura. Finally debuted in May of 2023 with a 2-minute knockout of Phil Hawes. Came back in October of 2023 at UFC 294, got a round 1 2-minute knockout of Ray Alves. He's been fed lower competition. He's burned through him. He finally gets a top guy. I don't know what to do here, guys. I don't know what to do because I could pick Robert Whittaker. Jared Cannonier just failed me. Okay? Now there's other chances where earlier in the year I picked Paulo Costa to beat Whittaker and he couldn't do it. But then again, I picked Paulo Costa to beat Sean Strickland. He also failed. Paulo Costa's really been letting me down. I have been picking for the fun of it as of late. I mean, I picked Poirier to win. He didn't. I picked Cannonier to win. He didn't. I picked Tetsuo to win. He did. Where will June guide me here? As much as I want to pick Whittaker, I'm so sorry, Rob. I don't think I predicted a correct Robert Whittaker fight in so long. I always seem to pick him to lose for some reason. He always wins. But we're going to ride with Ikram Alakasarov. It'd be so fun to predict Ikram, just getting it done on short notice, coming in there, finishing Whittaker with a little round 1 knockout or something, just out of nowhere, catching him off guard. And I mean, if you're going to catch Robert Whittaker at any point, it's in round 1 or 2. It's in round 1 or 2. Those are the only rounds you're catching Robert Whittaker in. I do like to point out, in the Paul Costa fight, it was round 1. He stung him in the start of round 2. Then after that, Paul lost it. Dricus finished him in round 2. Israel Adesanya dropped him in round 1 in both of their fights. I mean, Cannonier looked best in round 1 in their 2020 fight. Darren Till did best in round 1. So if Ikram can get him out of there in round 1 or 2, it'll be game over. If not, Whittaker will finish him in rounds 3 to 5. That's my prediction right there for you. But we are riding with Ikram Alakasarov. Let's go. Love my Russians. Love my Russian boys. Even though I'm American, die hard, I still pick my Dagestani Russians. What's that, ladies and gentlemen? That's all we got. That is all we got for today's episode. It was a fun one. Guys. Of course, the next episode will be episode 100. I don't know what to cook up for it because I do know that we need to cover UFC Saudi Arabia and drop our UFC 303 predictions. So it's going to kind of be hard to do like a special guest or something, being that I'm also going to record it middle of the week. But we'll see. Maybe this weekend I try and get a guest on or something. I'll have to decide. Maybe I'll drop it July 1st. I can't drop it July 1st. Shoot. But who knows? We got a lot of stuff planned for this podcast. A lot of big things coming. We're not going to let small hiccups in life, boredom at the job, losing the car, growing up. We're not going to let those things get to us. We're going to enjoy the ride, respect the grind, and stay on our time. I don't even know if that rhymed, but that's how I'm gonna jive. No, we're cutting that off there, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Make this the best week of your life. Whenever you listen to this, make it the best day of your life, I should say. The best moment of your life. And of course, I will catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.